Hello, welcome to The Revealing. I am your host, Pavarotti, here to discuss the Idaho 4 case. As a disclaimer, this channel is for entertainment purposes. These are my opinions. I'm not here to slander. Why don't we just get started, shall we? Today, let me say this first of all. If y'all didn't see my community post I put out last night, I apologize for not releasing the next series in the timeline. But folks, you're just going to have to bear with me. I mentioned before that my main work truck, I blew the motor in it. Well, I got my estimate back for that new motor, and it's about $7,000. And I'll tell you, I did not budget for a motor to blow up. Now, we're fortunate we have a backup truck. Miss Pavarotti and I, we in our old age now, we have a small contracting company. So we work for ourselves, which we're very fortunate to be able to do that. And when things like this happen, we can just simply increase our workload. When I do that, though, obviously it's going to leave less time for me to work on this case and doing what I've come to enjoy, which is this content creating. So I'm going to continue to work on my videos going forward, coverage on this case, and my timeline series, because when I release the next videos in the timeline series, I want them to be very impactful, because the timeline that I put together is the timeline, folks. And it should answer every question that you have. And when I release them, it's going to be a little bit different than I did before, to where there will be no doubt. And it will put the kind of pressure on the folks in this case to start letting us know what's really going on, or admitting to what's really going on. So again, just you're going to have to bear with me. I'm going to have to up my hours to about 60, 70 hours a week to cover this 7,000. And during that time, over the next, probably 3 or 4 weeks, I'm going to have less time to focus on this. And I apologize for that. But I'll try to make it worth your while when I do put those things out. So let's get to what the task at hand is, and that was this recent court hearing. Now, this recent hearing was, as I like to say, very interesting. Now, I've actually watched a few responses from other content creators out there. They've made some valid points. Of course, when I watch these things, I look for the details that are a little bit different than everybody else does. And what I had seen in this hearing was very validating to my thoughts. And you will, I hope you will agree with me once you watch the rest of this video. So, without me doing a whole lot of extra talking, let's just get right into it, shall we?
Okay, for us to truly understand what was taking place in that court hearing, we have to go to this document right here that I've brought up several times now. And this is the defendant's response to state's motion to limit witness testimony. And it's the last part of this document that is relevant. Because during this hearing, the witness that was called to the stand was Detective Mowry of the Moscow Police Department, and his role in generating cast data in the form of picture descriptions that was presented to the grand jury during the secret grand jury hearing that found the indictment against Bryan Kohberger. Why is that relevant? Because this was different information that was brought to the grand jury than the information that was used to generate the probable cause affidavit. So what Ann Taylor is doing now is locking in these witnesses to actual court testimony that could later be used during either trying to get a dismissal or during the trial. Because the questions that she asked him can be openly asked in a hearing, and the answers will never make it to trial unless she asks them again in the trial, if that makes sense to you. So she's digging in on the witness's credibility on this cast data so that she can later discredit him on his expertise of this cast data, or the fact that he may be or the state may be withholding evidence in regards to this CAS data. So that was the main goal of the hearing, was getting that witness on the stand and locking him into his answers to those questions. But that's not what was eye-opening to me, okay? This is what we've got to understand, because this document right here, as I've mentioned in previous videos, is very important. And the schematics around it are important, and the strategy around it was very important. And to truly understand what the goal of this document was, we need to listen to what I said on a previous video.
Well, the finding of an indictment does not preclude a defendant from seeking to gain through discovery information relevant to the probable cause provided in court. Okay, I bet you could have 50 people read that line and they'll scratch their heads. So I'm not going to make you go through that. You don't have to go listen to 50 other people read that line and have them scratch their heads. Here's what they're saying. The finding of an indictment. Now, what kind of indictment are they referring to when they say finding of an indictment? Who issued that indictment? Let me think. Oh, the secret grand jury indictment is what she's referring to. The finding of an indictment, let me just say it how it should read. The finding of the secret grand jury indicting Mr. Kohberger does not preclude a defendant from seeking to gain through discovery information relevant to the probable cause provided to the court. Let me translate. What she's saying is, what happened in the secret grand jury, evidence was provided to them that did not pertain to the probable cause affidavit that we've all been made privy to, or whatever the word is. I can't even think it's late. Privy to. Privy, not prairie. Prairie. That was prairie. Okay, the finding of an indictment does not preclude a defendant from seeking to gain through discovery information relevant to the probable cause provided to the court. So what they're saying is, the state's saying the probable cause affidavit is totally irrelevant at this point because they indicted him based on the secret grand jury indictment and the hearing they had in the secret grand jury that brought up completely different evidence against Mr. Kohberger than the probable cause affidavit stated. What she's saying is, regardless of that, because the state's saying that probable cause affidavit is a moot point at this point, she's saying that she wants the discovery from the state still on all of the information that pertains to what was actually in that probable cause affidavit, because she knows that she can get it discredited and she hopes to get the case thrown out based on that. What she's doing, folks, is she's holding that state's feet to the fire with this one, because she knows, as well as they do, what the real case is about. She's wanting to get some kind of leverage with this one because she already knows this stuff. She wants the leverage with this one. She's saying, I'm going to make it public. I'm going to make you go public with what really happened in that secret grand jury so that the whole world can see, unless you give me something in return in these next two hearings. Keep your eyes open and keep your eyes out, because that's what's going on.
So, as I mentioned, this entire document was basically a veiled threat to the prosecution that they will start to expose that information that the prosecution does not want to get out to the public. And that is the real evidence, the real case against Bryan Kohberger. And there is a myriad of different reasons why the prosecution does not want this out to the public. There are also reasons why the defense doesn't want this out to the public either. But at this point, the defense is using it as leverage against the prosecution, because obviously it's the prosecution that really doesn't want this to get out to the public because of the impact it'll have on the community and all those involved in this case. So by putting this out there, you can bet this was to get the prosecution to ease up on the restrictions that they're trying to put against the defense as it relates to his alibi. And we know that this document was never meant for our eyes to see, and we have proof coming up here in just a minute of that being the case. This document came out, as I mentioned, the day before the 2 hearings were scheduled. The 2 hearings were then canceled, rescheduled, and then you can absolutely bet that damage control was implemented. And it's easy to see during this court hearing where the end result of that damage control is coming into play. So as we see how this hearing wrapped up, this is the part that nobody else out there is pointing out, and it's mind-boggling to me because this is the important part of the entire hearing. So let's take a look at the end of this court hearing and what took place.
Your Honor, the rest of the witnesses will be present and ready to go on the 30th, to the very best of my knowledge. This was the only witness we needed to accommodate with today's hearing. So thank you for that.
Okay, thank you. So we're done for today?
We're done for today, Your Honor.
Okay, Ms. Jennings, agreed?
Agreed.
Okay. Yes, what are you, hold on. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Beth. So I have a whole bunch of documents that is not clear whether I should sign sealing or not, because there's no stipulation and there's no hearing, but we're all here together. So can we just go through this and clear it up? Yes?
Sure.
Sure. Okay, so the first one I have is motion to temporarily seal supplemental response to defendant's 4th and response to 5th motions to compel and motion to limit scope of testimony. And I have not signed that because there was no stipulation or agreed.
Your Honor, I apologize. I thought we had agreed those have the detailed exhibits attached to them, and I thought we'd stipulated that those detailed exhibits could be sealed.
Okay, well, the addition on that was limited scope of testimony, so I wasn't sure if that was included in our earlier agreement.
Your Honor, that's the state's motion. I know we responded to that, and we did not seal our response to that.
Okay, state is asking for sealing on that. Are we on the same page? You know what I'm talking about? Okay. Just want to know if I should sign this or not.
Well, I'm just not sure. Is there an objection? It's the state's motion to seal. Is there an
Right.
objection on defense to seal?
No, if they want their documents sealed, that's fine. We have responded publicly, and so I wondered if that changed.
Okay, so I'll sign this. That's one. I just don't want to get in trouble with your arguments about sealing and not sealing. Okay, I just want to be very clear on the record.
Thank you for that.
Plus is piling up with the clerk.
So you
Okay,
notice
next one is.
how the judge just casually says, okay, we're all done here. By the way, I've got these documents here that, and by the way, those documents came out on the 10th, May 10th. You don't think he's had time between May 10th and now to determine whether or not they need to be sealed or not? If he needs to sign them or not? So, I've got these documents. And it's that, it has to do with that state's motion. Ms. Taylor, should I sign these? And of course, did you notice her response? You can go back and watch it again. You can see she's smiling as she says, no, I filed my response unsealed. So if the state wants their document sealed, then that's fine. I have no objection. So what that tells me is her veiled threat to the state to get some kind of leverage worked. And she is rubbing it right in their face in the middle of that court hearing. And look how awkward Judge seemed as he was trying to do damage control. I just need to know if I need to sign these or not. And I wanted to make sure I did it in so it's on the court record so that I'm fair to everything. That was a big deal, folks. What came out in the defendant's response to state motion was not for your eyes to see. As you can see, she said she agreed that the exhibits listed in there were to be sealed. What were the exhibits listed in her response? Those were the cases that she was citing and the reason that she was citing those cases. Those were the only exhibits. Those were not for our eyes to see because it tells the story that they don't want us to know. But again, please like and subscribe to the channel. Post your comments, your criticisms, your thoughts. You know I enjoy reading those. And until next time, Pavarotti is out.